Hey, hello. Yeah, so welcome back to my channel. My name is Elijah Oyinka. So if you're just joining this channel, you're welcome. What I do is I explain finance and business concepts to people and to businesses in a way that they will understand. I try to break down some of these concepts in a very simple way, such that I'm not talking about a lot of jargons that may get people confused. So that's what I do. So today I want to talk about business model, right? And the business model concept, it ties to my last video, which has generated a lot of questions. And again, for the avoidance of doubt, probably a disclaimer is that the 58 companies that I mentioned in my last video, you can check the video out if you haven't seen it. I am not saying that categorically that I know that these companies are scam, right? I'm not saying that I am confident that all these companies, about 58 of them, are illegal companies. What I'm trying to say, and which was the core of the video, is that EFCC exposed these companies, right? And I'm just giving you the reasons why I think that EFCC say they are Ponzi scheme. And for the avoidance of doubt, again, there are 58 of them, which you can check out the list. You can pause and play and see probably the list of the companies, so that we are very clear about what I'm trying to say here. I have not reviewed 58 companies. I mean, I don't have time to do all of that. But what I was saying generally is that if you collect money from the public and you invest public money, you need a SEC license to do that. I mean, if you're not a bank and you receive public fund and you invest it and you promise them returns, you need a SEC license to do that. And that's like pure law. So I'm just saying that even if all of these companies that I have shown you, about 48 or 58 of them, even if some of them, even if all of them are, real companies, the concept I was trying to explain in my last video, which I'm just going to say a bit about that before we move to the core of this video, which is like the business model concept, is that you cannot receive public fund, you cannot invest public fund, you cannot promise people, returns, however small or big, without having SEC license to do so. And that was just the core concept about it. So if EFCC said these companies are illegal companies or they are Ponzi scheme, I have just given you why you think you need to believe that they are Ponzi scheme. Again, I said there are 58 of them. Why do you have to register? You need to register with SEC. You need to register with CAC. Those are like basic things you need to do. And I was trying to just explain again the concept to you why you have to be Ponzi if you have not have like SEC license and you're promising people high returns on their money. So yeah, let's settle that once and for all. But the concept we want to talk about today, which is the concept of business model, again, it's going to help you to understand when you can even invest in a company at all, because the concept of business model is underpins every business you can ever think about. So, and that is what I want to try to get to today, because if you really understand business model concepts, maybe you wouldn't even fall for a Ponzi in the first place. Or maybe along the line, even if they're trying to explain Ponzi to you, if you understand the concept of business model, it will be easy for you to quickly say, you know what, the business model upon which this company or this business wants to pay me the returns they are promising me doesn't make sense. So you already know that, oh, this business is not viable enough to pay me what they are planning to do, right? So look at this, circle. It explains all the things you need to know, or maybe the basic things you need to know about, the business model. And look at it. It includes like revenue of the business, include the product. What product are they selling? The cost. What is the cost structure? What are they spending money on in terms of, the direct and indirect to make the revenue? How are they paying salaries? How are they paying rent? How are they paying utilities? All the expenses of the business, all the costs of running the business. So that's one of the concepts you need to know about, business model. Management. Who are the people running the company? Do they have board of directors? Do they have the senior management members? Who are they? Is their profile out there? So that's also one of the things you need to know about, business model. Distribution, if you have like a business or a service line, how do you get it from production to consumers? Those are things that you talk about when you are talking about business model concepts. Services, is either you get your services from, you outsource your services or you get it internally. The strategy around offshoring and all the concepts you need to, you hear about most of the times, they are under the concept of business model. Customers, which is like the biggest, the king of the business, which is if you're selling anything, you are selling any product or service. If you do not have people that are paying for that service, maybe your business model is not yet there, or maybe your business model is not yet tight. So all these concepts around, these circular conversations around revenue, product, cost, management, distribution, the customers who are like the biggest fan of the company, they all are embedded in business model. And the competencies, why are you different from competition, right? So it is all embedded in the business model concept. So simply, what is the definition of business model? So business model is the strategies and the activities of a company that drives the revenue and the profit of the business. So it's that simple. You need to know the strategy activities of any company that eventually lead to, how the company make profits. So those are the things I want to explain to you under the business model concept. So let me just expand on some of these concepts, again, and that's like going to be all you need to know about this particular video, because I want to just make it short and easy for you to understand. So the first thing that I want to talk about under this business model concept is the target market. So you need to ask yourself the question, and that's how you review any business, right? If any company is promising you any returns, if they are trying to tell you this is how we make profit, the question you should always ask them is, what is the market you are targeting, right? That what is the biggest potential for this company or this firm to make money? And that is how, every business in the world, how they involve. If you think about Netflix, how does Netflix make money? You pay for subscription, and they tell you, you're going to have unlimited access to movies, to show that you love. You can, watch all of that in a month, but you pay subscription fee every month. So you can easily estimate the money that Netflix make. Just think about what is the population of people that can probably have television, or phone, that they can have like Netflix app on their phone, and they are willing to pay for that. If you multiply that by the amount of money Netflix charge per month, that is how much Netflix make every month. In fact, you can do the math if you have time. So that is about the target market, and it's one of the key concepts, or one of the key questions you ask when you're trying to understand the business model map of any company or any business at all. The second thing I want to explain under the business model concept is called the value proposition. So it is the biggest unmet needs. So if you think about any problem at all that people are trying to solve, how business string up or how businesses are created is the fact that they are thinking about what is the biggest problem that people are currently facing that they cannot, worry about. And if you think about how, the main competitors of Netflix, came about, is that, what about people that cannot pay the full subscription value for Netflix? Are they willing to, watch some adverts, and, get this same concept or this same value in terms of the movie? And that's how, like, Amazon Prime, started like bringing up the model of introducing adverts into their model. And that's why you can watch things on YouTube for free, right? Because YouTube is generating a lot of money from adverts. So that's another thing you need to know about value proposition. The third one, which is one of the questions, is that where do we make ourselves conveniently available, so that the target pattern, the buying patterns, we can understand it. So when you think about companies that sell products and they sell it through the e-commerce platform, or they sell it through, the direct delivery to customers, or they give it to retailers or the wholesalers, all these are channels by which a company can sell their products or services out, right? So if you understand the buying patterns and all of that, it is how the company think about how we make revenue or how we spend our money. What about customer bonding? customer generally is that you need to understand why do customers keep coming back. And that is one of the concepts, questions you ask when trying to understand the business model map of any business at all. So if you do not build strong relationship with customers, you will not have like repeat customers. And the moment you do not have repeat customers, it means that your customers are going somewhere else. They are going to competitors. So how do you get customers from competitors is one of the questions or one of the big concepts around the business model concept. And again, the big thing comes, the revenue. If you do not know how a business make revenue, and simply revenue is just price times quantity, right? Think about any business, you need to know what is the price they're charging for the goods they're selling or the services they're providing, and how many people are willing to pay for that, and how many of those products are they selling. If you understand all those pieces, you'll be able to bring together a revenue that is possible for a company. So it is almost impossible for any company to tell you something that is very unreal, because if a company say, oh, I'm going to pay you 100% returns, and you ask, what is the revenue model of this company? And you are able to break down into price times quantity or by number of customers, you will almost like quickly see that it is impossible for this business to make this revenue that they are saying they make. And the same thing going into the cost model. So any business that makes revenue must also incur costs. If you are producing something and you're selling it, there must be cost of production, right? If you are rendering a service, there must be cost of people rendering the service, meaning that the cost of the professional rendering the service, the salary you pay, all that is going into the cost model of the company. The moment the price you're charging to get the revenue is not enough to cover all the costs of running the business, there will not be profit. And when there is no profit, there's nothing to share with the promoters or the shareholders of the company. And if a company is promising you very high returns, just the way we expose some of the companies that are promising very high returns, that eventually became a Ponzi scheme, you will quickly know that the revenue minus cost model of that company that is promising high return is not just possible. And that is when the business model concept comes in. I'm just trying to tie that back to the last video, which you watched about the Ponzi scheme and how to you really know whether a company can tell you to bring money to invest when they don't have a SEC license. I'm just saying that if you tie the two, you understand the concept of business model, you will be able to know when a company is promising you return that is impossible to meet. And that's like, I'm trying to like tie both together, because a question is coming up again that, oh, some of these companies, I can vouch for them. They are not Ponzi scheme. They are real. They are selling this. They're selling that. Yes, it's possible. And I'm not really doubting that some of these companies under the 58 list are not selling something. I'm not saying that they are not making genuine revenue, or they are not having offices, they are not paying salaries. What I'm saying, which should be clear from the two videos that you're going to watch, this one and the previous one, is the fact that if a company is promising you return and they are collecting your money for investment, the business model must be able to support that. And if the business model doesn't support that, then that's the red signs, or that's is just a red flag that you're probably putting your money in Ponzi. So that's the cost model. If you go, to the left and you start thinking about what is the resources, you must be able to know what are the assets that this company is using to generate the revenue, or what are they spending money on in terms of cost. So the resources the company is using to generate value or to make revenue should be something that you should be able to like know, or you should be able to like understand. If you don't understand it, that's also a problem. You should know the processes. What are the activities they do before they can generate value? And the activities they do can just be, how do they go to market in terms of adverts, in terms of production, in terms of supply chain and all of that. If you do not understand all of that, then you probably don't understand the business really. And that's when the business model concepts, comes up. Value proposition, which I mentioned before, value chain. The value chain, again, is also very important. How do these companies have competitive advantage? Meaning that why do they sell something cheaper than their competitors? It means that maybe they are buying something cheaper from suppliers. It means that maybe they are paying less, to labor, and that's when you see that some companies, ship out some of their product to countries that can produce it cheaply, right? And that's when offshoring comes in. So not to, bore you with a lot of big concepts, what we're just trying to say, which is like the biggest thing you need to take away from this video, is that the business model concepts is the foundation of all business ideas. And if a company is saying that they make so profit or return, their business model must be able to support it. And that's like the core of the video. Again, I mentioned that the biggest question that came from the last video I did about EFCC exposing 58 companies is the fact that some people feel like some of these companies, they are being judged harshly, or maybe EFCC was wrong to call them Ponzi. But I'm saying that I am not saying confidently that I know about the operation of 58 companies, no. But I'm saying that if a company collect money from you, invest the money, and promise you returns, they are doing capital market activities. And if they are doing capital market activities, they need to have a SEC license, because that is when they can say that they are protecting, your investment. But if SEC is not protecting your investment, then that means the company is doing illegal operation. And I'm just trying to clarify it again. The company doing legal capital market operation can be different from a company doing, legal business operation. And that's when you need to understand the connection between the business model concepts that I'm trying to just explain here versus saying that 58 companies are Ponzi scheme because they are not following capital market rules. Yes, that's a question I am trying to answer. I'm just trying to tie both. So again, if you look at any company, you need to understand the revenue model. Revenue model, what is price times quantity of this company? If you do not have an answer to how big the revenue can be, because it doesn't make sense, then that means you don't understand the revenue model. The same thing with products. What are they selling? What are they selling in terms of products or services? If that answer is not clear, that means the business model is also not very clear. You need to worry. Cost. If you do not know how the business, spend cost, or they make revenue and you're like, no, it's not possible to tie the cost to revenue so that it can lead to big profit, then again, you probably start doubting whether the business really makes sense. Again, the management must be everywhere, must be known, must be credible, must have track record of success. If that is not happening, maybe the business model already is failing. And that is why you need to understand these key circles that I'm trying to, explain in a very simple way. Distribution, again, I've said something again about that. You need to know how the company moves products from production to customers. Again, customers is also king. You need to know who are the people paying for the services of this customer. If you invest in a company, you're not the customer of that company. So again, just to make sure that we are clear about what we're trying to say here. If a company say, bring money, I'll give you returns, you are not a customer, you are an investor. And if the company is making you an investor and promising you returns, they must have the legal backings to do that. But if a company is selling something to you, you are a customer, and you need to understand what is the product the company is selling to me. So you are not a customer because you're giving the company the money, you're an investor. So you must understand the difference. Customers are the one paying for the goods and services the company is selling. So if a company or a business doesn't have, customer base that can justify the revenue or profit they think they have or they say they have, then that is a big red flag. I'm saying again, so that we are clear about why I'm doing this concept of business model. The concept of business model is the building block of understanding whether a business is doing something that is sustainable or not. And if you understand that clearly, it will be easy for you to just go again over all these 58 companies. So these are some of the companies that I mentioned in my last video that EFCC said they are Ponzi scheme or they are running illegal operation. I don't know how they make money. I don't know how they make profit, but I'm saying that they are doing some capital market activities that are illegal. But if you just want to understand the basic way they make money in terms of revenue, how they spend their costs, how they make profits, and how they are able to pay you the returns, you can go back to my idea of business concept, business model concept. and think about revenue, costs, customers, the supply chain, the management, and all the building blocks of business model that can help you to understand how these 58 companies are really making their profit. I have ranked some of them because they are well-known Ponzi operation in the country. But even some that I don't know, I have not ranked, you can understand their operation by just understanding the concepts of business model that I mentioned. Again, that is what is the main reason why I'm doing this second video, which is, again, trying to explain to you that some of these companies, they may not be doing something that is illegal in terms of business, but if you understand the business model concept, it will help you to understand if the business of these companies, if it is sustainable. And if it is not sustainable, then you know that maybe it is not where you need to put your money. So that is what I want to do. I want to, explain in this video. I will see you again in my next video. Take care. Bye.